Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talks. Well, we've been spoilt recently, haven't we? Throughout history, there have been tyrants, oppressors, despots, dictators, but at this moment in history, we seem to have loads of them. There seems to be one for every country. Some have even more than one. And here's one of them, the entity known as Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau, whose daddy was Prime Minister of Canada as well. What's the chances of that, eh? His father, Pierre Trudeau, was Prime Minister of Canada between 1980 and 1984. So it's a clear case of nepotism there. And even his dad only became Prime Minister because his father was a multi-millionaire businessman, Charles-Émile Trudeau, who was into mining companies and all sorts. Basically, let's face it, Justin Trudeau is just another in a long line of puppet tyrants in a position of power, not because they earned it, but because they were born into it. The guy probably hasn't done a day's work in his life, a spoiled brat who has no clue about the world around him, and it wouldn't matter anyway because he's probably brainwashed into doing whatever his puppet masters tell him to do and say. Anyway, in the last couple of weeks, Justin Trudeau has been electioneering. He has called a snap election in Canada because the opposition said he was a tyrant, and he's been visiting areas, and everywhere he goes, surprise, surprise, the crowds, they boo him. They jeer him. They tell him to go F himself, etc., etc. Yesterday, someone threw a pebble near him. And Justin, he's very, very upset about this. He said it was unacceptable. He thinks it's unacceptable that people boo him. In his mind, it's unacceptable and beyond reason how anyone could ever disagree with him because in his mind, he believes he's perfect. He's failing to recognise that he himself is the one who is inciting hatred by going around saying he is going to remove people's human rights, about how he's going to take away your freedom, take it away, out and out saying this. Here is the spoilt brat whining about people hating on him, but failing to recognise he himself is the one who is inciting the hatred.
And state the obvious, first and foremost, it is absolutely unacceptable that people be throwing things and endangering others at a political rally. There were volunteers and supporters. There are police officers there to keep everyone safe. There were journalists such as yourselves doing a really important job informing Canadians of what's going on in this election and some of the tensions that are out there. Nobody should be doing their jobs under the threat or under the threats of violence or acts that put them in danger. That's absolutely unacceptable. But it's not just at political rallies that this is happening. There are healthcare workers across the country who are getting hassled and intimidated and bullied as they're going into work to keep people safe and alive. There are store clerks and waitresses and people going out there around their daily lives getting yelled at and pushed around for wearing masks, for being vaccinated. That's not how we do things in Canada. And quite frankly, as I continue to campaign, I am inspired by those people who continue to do the right thing in the face of anti-vaxxer mobs who are not respecting the basic science and the basic decency that Canadians have rightly come to expect from each other. This is not who we are as a country, and I will continue to stand up to defend journalists, police officers, healthcare workers, anyone in this country who has done the right thing, gotten themselves vaccinated, wants to get back to normal. Nobody should be getting that kind of intimidation or endangerment that these angry mobs are putting forward.
This speech is all about himself, this whiny little brat talking about angry mobs. What do you expect, you clown? You're going around saying that perfectly healthy, law-abiding people who've been paying taxes for many years will be banned from using buses, trains, public transport, will be banned from going to their job to work. You're openly saying that people should have their livelihood taken away, will not be allowed to go to the shopping centre unless they do what you want, unless they take the jab. You're going around saying these things as if it's right. You're openly calling for discrimination. You're openly calling for human rights to be abolished. You want people to be punished for deciding, it's my body, it's my choice. You're going around preaching this and you expect people to give you a warm welcome. Are you joking me? You're inciting hatred. You're creating angry mobs. What do you expect? This guy is the epitome of fakeness. He is the ultimate slimy game show host politician. He does not care about anybody. Check out this clip.
Following up. There were a lot of anti-vaccine messages yesterday in Newmarket, but we know that there are some people who are unvaccinated who are not showing up at these protests. They can't get a vaccine because of health reasons, they don't have the right information, or they're genuinely scared, and they're not part of special interest groups. And I'm wondering what your message is to those Canadians who feel that you are abandoning them and turning society against them.
My message to those Canadians is one I give every single day. It's time to get vaccinated.
You notice where the woman says, well, what about these people who cannot get it or who are in a situation where it's not possible for them to get it? Is it not unfair discrimination against them? And what does he answer? He just goes into Autobot, robot mode. You must get the jab. Everyone must get the jab. He don't care about nobody. He doesn't care, okay? And this country, Canada, is just following, like all the other countries, is just following the Israel blueprint. So it will be boosters, and if you don't get the boosters, then your passport will be cancelled. He calls the crowd anti-vaxxers. These people are not anti-vaxxers. These are freedom fighters, and they're fighting to get back the freedoms so many of you have given away. As always, thanks for listening. Come and subscribe to the tribe at hugotalks.com, a place for like-minded souls who don't follow the fake stream media.